In this video, we are going to talk about 10 richest countries in the world. Gross domestic product, also known as GDP, is a measurement of a nation's wealth that includes income, consumption, and the value of the goods and services the nation generates over the course of a year. What makes GDP so popular in exhibiting and comparing wealth is setting the benchmark according to these metrics and creating the same criteria across the board. A useful metric that can provide light on a nation's standard of living is the GDP per capita, which is calculated by dividing national wealth by the total population. The wealth and prosperity of the nation's citizens can frequently be determined by the GDP per capita, which should be high. Here are 10 richest countries in the world. So let's start. Number 10. San Marino. San Marino's resourceful population, who are able to successfully adapt and maximize their existing resources, are in part responsible for the country's stable and thriving economy. San Marino was formerly a nation of farmers and stone quarries that produced cheeses, other agricultural products, and distinctive souvenirs made of stone. These days, the nation's hard-working residents support the economy by making ceramics, tiles, furniture, building supplies, paints, premium spirits, and wines for export. The recent economic expansion of the country has also been influenced by the export of fruit. Despite being totally surrounded by Italy, San Marino nonetheless has a tight relationship with the nation it once belonged to, as seen by the payments made by the Italian government for the microstate's monopolies on tobacco and other goods. Number 9. Brunei. The little nation of Brunei, located in South Asia, quickly expanded to become one of the richest nations in the world after gaining independence from Britain in 1984. Its sultan controls all aspects of society, including the military and the economy, imposes strict punishment laws, and offers its people free healthcare and education. Over 97% of people in Brunei are literate. Given that the wealth in the country is not divided fairly and a large portion of the population lives in poverty, it may come as a surprise that Brunei is regarded as the second happiest country on the continent after Singapore. However, Brunei's public debt in 2018 was only 2.4% of its GDP, compared to the US's 106%. The offshore oil drilling business, which generates economic wealth through export, is what has made Brunei so wealthy. Number 8. United States. The US has high purchasing power due to its resource-rich land and large economy. It supplies its own energy and exports oil and gas for profit, and its economy and GDP growth rate are unparalleled. As a decentralized market economy with a decentralized political structure, there are almost no state-owned firms, and investors' responsibility is protected. Although such data attracts smart people globally, it remains one of the top countries where money is not divided equitably. America's entrepreneurial spirit is fostered by academic programs and research institutions. There is also a decentralized banking system that fosters entrepreneurial operations. Public debt is $27,000 billion, $3,000 billion higher than pre-COVID-19. Number 7. Norway. Norway has the best level of living on Earth and ranks first on the Human Development Index due to its superior education, social security, and universal healthcare. Its oil and gas exports drive the economy, while enormous reserves of seafood, hydropower, lumber, minerals, natural gas, and freshwater ensure future success. Oil has brought Norway wealth since the 1970s. The government invests in free education for its inhabitants, and parents teach youngsters the value of production in school. Without employment, Norwegians have no joy in life. Telecommunications and technology are major industries. With 3% unemployment and 0.5% poverty, Norway's standard of living is envied. Norwegians don't mind investing in their economy, and their high incomes allow them to spend lavishly overseas. Number 6. United Arab Emirates. When it was known as the Trucial States, the pearl business dominated this country from the 1770s until the late 1930s, when pearl diving became a source of income for tiny village residents. Dubai, along with the rest of the country, has moved on to tourism, which keeps growing and becoming more popular. Dubai and Abu Dhabi inhabitants clashed over oil limits in the late 1950s, with Abu Dhabi winning and becoming richer. While Abu Dhabi developed, Sheikh Rashid bin Zayed Al Maktoum invested tens of billions of dollars in Dubai's infrastructure in 1958, establishing its first airport by 1960. Number 5. Switzerland. Switzerland is home to German, French, and Italian-speaking people who have lived peacefully for over 800 years. Even with its high cost of living, pricey products and services, and the Swiss franc's high value, visitors flock to this country for business or tourism. Switzerland's steady economy and constant currency value make it a popular investment destination. Attractive tax rates encourage investment and corporate expansion in Switzerland. The Swiss are inventive, turning natural resources into chocolate, cheese, jewelry, home design, and furniture. Gems and precious metals, followed by pharmaceuticals and machinery, contribute the most to the GDP. Number 4. Ireland. Numerous multi-billion-dollar businesses are continually drawn to Ireland by its low corporate taxes, where they can expand and contribute to the country's GDP and high level of living. Despite having high earnings, the income per capita has grown far more slowly than the country's GDP. Others, however, are envious of the nation's stability and continued prosperity from manufacturing, agriculture, and tourism. Metals and food goods, including beer, computers, components, and software, as well as textiles, make up the majority of the nation's exports. Ireland's tertiary industry is also a major source of income, including call centers, legal services, accounting, customer service, stockbroking, and catering. Number 3. Qatar. The once sleeping peninsula off the eastern coast of Saudi Arabia has transformed in the last 20 years from a little fishing sector and nearly no schools to a significant oil-exporting international center. In 1997, Qatar started shipping a lot of natural gas to Spain and Japan, and in the early 2000s, it started shipping more natural gas to other nations. Its GDP increased dramatically from $30 billion to over $200 billion after 15 years and 14 natural gas plants. With almost 900 trillion cubic feet of natural gas reserves, Qatar has the greatest reserves in the world, after Iran and Russia, accounting for 60% of its total GDP. It started producing 46,500 barrels per day in 1951 after finding oil in 1939 and natural gas in 1983. The royal family amassed a large portion of the income, with portions also going to Great Britain, the country's dominant nation, even though some of it was utilized to begin modernizing the nation. After becoming independent in 1971, Khalifa bin Hamad overthrew his father and reduced the allowances given to the royal family while increasing spending on social programs, housing, healthcare, education, and pensions. The nation gains large returns through investments in international companies, banks, even the soccer team Paris Saint-Germain and London real estate. Number 2. Singapore. The hard-working and resourceful Singaporeans have managed to make their nation the second richest in the world despite the lack of natural resources on which to base its economy. The economy is fueled by serving as a major worldwide hub for businesses providing financial services. The nation's primary exports include electronics, biotechnology, and chemicals, and the positions in manufacturing, services, transport engineering, and logistics pay highly for its workers. Singapore draws millions of tourists each year by building upscale infrastructure and greatly growing its tourism industry. Our extremely investor-friendly economic climate with free trade, an open market, and enticingly low tax rates was also created by the government, which attracted foreign companies and business visitors. Number 1. Luxembourg. Luxembourg is the richest nation in the world, distinguished by high income levels and a low unemployment rate. Its wealth is likewise very stable, with an inflation rate of 1.1%. The World Economic Forum attributes Luxembourg's high GDP primarily to the enormous number of people who work in this small, landlocked country while living in its bordering Western European neighbors. The developed infrastructure and high labor market values draw investment and clones of the major outside companies. The country made an excellent adjustment after being heavily dependent on the steel and iron industry until it stopped producing profits in the 1970s. Nowadays, Luxembourg benefits from a variety of businesses, primarily from an import-export economy built on financial services, and by having one of the most educated worker forces in the world. Small and medium-sized businesses have grown, and international firms have increased their demand for highly qualified workers who can speak several languages. The nation also has a modest but thriving agricultural sector. What do you think of our video? Let me know in the comments section below. If you enjoy this video and want to hear from me again, be sure to hit that subscribe button before you go. Thanks for watching.